What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be starting my third series of the three that I was, trying to do. Of course, I started the one of should the Toronto Maple Leafs re-sign, and then the player, and then Raptors potential free agent targets. Now I'm doing Toronto Maple Leafs potential free agent targets for this 2022 offseason. The player I'm going to be doing in this video is goaltender Braden Holtby. This is a very interesting one. Braden Holtby, of course, is a Stanley Cup champion. Of course, with the Washington Capitals, he won the Cup in 2018, so he was obviously stellar in that playoff season. But obviously, Braden Holtby is a ridiculous goaltender. He has done a lot of good things over the course of his NHL career, with obviously Washington, Vancouver, and Dallas. He most recently played for Dallas, but you take a look at what he did in Washington, there were some unbelievable numbers. In his career, he's got 35 shutouts in 513 games with a 2.59 goals against average in his career, with a record of 299 wins, 143 losses, and 50 overtime losses. So, and a save percentage of .915. So he's no doubt he's been a tremendous goalie over the course of his NHL career. But a lot of you may say, why would the Leafs sign Braden Holtby? Now, this is not to be a starter. Let me just get this clear. This is not for Braden Holtby to come into Toronto and be the starting goaltender of the Maple Leafs. This is for him to come in and be a backup and, really solidify a good goalie tandem. At this point, I think it's safe to say I do not think Jack Campbell is coming back to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I just think if he were coming back, we'd hear a little bit more about the situation. But I feel like a team like Buffalo or New Jersey is going to give him the money, and I think he's going to sign for 5.5. I really think somebody's going to overpay for Jack Campbell, as that's often what happens, especially with goaltenders, especially in a unrestricted free agent class that doesn't have as high-end goaltenders. So Jack Campbell's probably in the top 2 or 3 for this offseason. But I think, like I said, I think it's safe to say, Campbell's probably not coming back. Now, where do the Leafs go from there at the starting position spot? Well, it's definitely interesting. I think the two names that pop up very quickly, well, really 3 names. I think Fleury's a little bit unrealistic. I don't think he's going to come to Toronto. But I think the two really standout names are John Gibson and Matt Murray, and those are via a trade to be the starter. But those are some pricey options, but I still think it's possible for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think Braden Holtby makes a ton of sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The first reason I think that is, I get that he's a little bit old, 32 years of age, but I think if you can get him at 2 or 3 years and give him about $2 million per year, I think it certainly makes a ton of sense, because you're getting a guy with experience, a guy that's proven he can win at the starting position in the league. I don't think there's any question about that. And at the same time, you're getting a guy who could step in if needed and be a backup. And I think if the Leafs sign Braden Holtby, it could be a very even split in terms of the goaltending. If they get a guy like Matt Murray, I don't think Murray plays 60 games. I think he probably plays 45 or 50, and then you give the rest of the workload to Braden Holtby. And I understand that the Leafs still have Eric Källgren back there in net, so it's not like there's nothing. Of course, Mrazek's still under contract. We don't know what the situation there with him is. I do not expect him to be back, though. I think the Leafs try and move that salary. He's been a guy who's been injured and just inconsistent in the goal. But when he is on, he's a good goalie, but you just don't know what to expect. It's definitely an interesting situation, but I think Braden Holtby makes sense for the Leafs if it's at the right price. If it's at 1.5 or $2 million, I think it makes sense for the Leafs, because you're filling in that backup void at a fairly cheap cost for a good option. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Leafs choose to do in terms of the goaltending situation. I don't think John Gibson is going to be the guy that the Leafs pursue. I think it's possible, but I'm not expecting that. I think Gibson, not only is he expensive in terms of what Anaheim will want, but at the same time, he's over $6 million per year average annual, so the Leafs would have to get creative with the cap And if you are paying somebody that much, will you want to have to give up as much as the Leafs will have to do? It's going to be interesting. I think Ottawa and Matt Murray is interesting because Ottawa's got some money to fiddle around with, so maybe they're willing to retain $2 or $2.5 million of that 6.2 from Matt Murray and another guy who's won a Stanley Cup. He's actually won 2, and he's proven in this league that he can be a really solid goaltender. It's going to be interesting to see what the Leafs do. Am I predicting the Leafs to sign Holtby? Again, no. I'm not making all these to predict that the Leafs will sign all these guys. I understand that that's not really that realistic, but I think they can certainly sign a couple of the guys that I do in this series or in these series, whether that's the Leafs, the Raptors. But it's definitely interesting. I think it's a possibility. Every name that I give here is going to be a possibility. I'm not going to go out and say, the Leafs should sign Gaudreau and do a review on him, because at the end of the day, that's just not as realistic. But I think a guy like Braden Holtby is. But guys, overall, that's all I got in this video. You guys let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on the possibility of Braden Holtby joining the Toronto Maple Leafs. What do you think about that? Let me know all that good stuff down below in the comment section. And as always, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys all in the next video. And as always, go Leafs go.